Hello everyone. This story is about, what if Naruto had muted emotions and became a seal's master? Please like, share and subscribe for more. Also check the other fics I have uploaded. Now let's start. Are those 600s? Commander Dragon asked his subordinate. She nodded and he believed her. She was a good daughter of ANBU. As he stopped around the surgical suite to make sure he had all he needed, he thought about his wayward son. Clearly his hound dog had forgotten his discipline since he'd left Dragon's family, but like a good patriarch, he did not abandon his children even upon their departure. He would help his son, even if it hurt, and impress upon him the need to take better care of his future son. But that was for later. He had a more pressing matter to attend to. He looked at the fool who wasn't long for this world. Of all the people to kidnap, he picked the old man's grandson during a time the man was already walking around like a fire-breathing dragon. The sheer idiocy of it. Add to that, ANBU had to make sure none of the medical staff knew who paralyzed the fool, for they'd have refused to treat him. Never cross a chef, lover, or medic in the world of ninja, for there wasn't a faster way to depart from this world. And the medical staff loved their chibi, loved that the son of the Yondaime was a healer. He couldn't guarantee a mystery blood clot wouldn't have found its way into the traitor's brain if they knew how and why he got knifed twice in the spinal column and got his trachea crushed. Which, doing while coming out of a shunshin, was pretty impressive. He'd have a new son, yet. He'd just have to get the old man to see reason. Or get him a special tobacco blend. 3 slaps woke the foolish traitor up. The man blinked in confusion, eyes adjusting to the mostly darkened room, the only light positioned directly about the traitor. He tried to squirm, but stilled when he saw the mask. Dragon smiled behind it as the fool's expression gave it all away. Oh, that fear, that was the genuine reaction, but pride forced a sneer on the lips of the fool. He went to say something, likely something snarky about how he wasn't afraid or wouldn't be broken. As if you got to be the ANBU commander without the ability to break all chunin. He slapped the man again before the words could leave his mouth. Understand one thing, Onion, I'm a busy man. If I'm not asking you a question, you are not to speak. Are we clear, Onion? The man frowned but nodded. The response earned him another slap. His jaw likely couldn't take much more. Why, he asked and was answered with another slap. When I ask an onion a question, I expect a verbal response, are we clear? Yes, he responded promptly. Now, as I am feeling magnanimous, I will allow you one question, you may ask it now. Why do you call me an onion? Dragon wasn't surprised, but amused by the question. At least the man wasn't lying to himself, nor going to fake innocence. That was good. Oh, it's simple really, you non-ANBU are allowed, unable to work alone and usually not worth a damn until a generous amount of heat is applied to you. Alright, I think I should inform you what is about to happen. See, I'm only really interested in one question, but I have to assume you're going to lie to me. True, I could torture you until I believe you divulged the truth, but I have a lot of my plate and can't spend all day dicing an onion. So, I've come to a compromise. Dragon grabbed one of the fluffy, all-white towels from a nearby surgical stand and slid a water-filled bucket next to Mizuki's bed. This is a 600 thread count towel. I'm going to wet one end of it and force it down your throat. Admittedly, a lower thread count would make the initial ingestion easier, but I found the results inconsistent, so you get the 600. Well, Onion, when your stomach acid starts to digest the towel, I'm going to yank it back up, bringing your stomach lining with it. The chunin had a mixture of disbelief and bone-deep fear on his face, as if one was a defense for the other. Dragon didn't begrudge the man his self-deception. Reality would become too painful to deny soon enough. 29 hours, 47 minutes is the average length of time people last when they endure this. Nearly 30 hours of excruciating pain. I figure a full day of this, and you'll tell the truth, just so I end your misery. I'll talk, the man yelled. He was slapped for his slip in decorum. Of course you'll talk, Onion. You'll tell me whatever I want to hear, but I only want the truth, not what you think I believe the truth to be. In order for that to happen, you need to endure this trial. Endure and then I can believe you. No, I'll talk. I'll tell the truth, he pleaded. This guy really didn't want his stomach lining removed. He almost felt bad for slapping him again. Okay, Onion, I'm going to give you one chance to avoid the most painful 24 of your life. Were you ordered to kidnap Konohamaru Sarutobi as some kind of dead man cell scheme by Orochimaru? No. I just knew he'd been captured and thought he'd reveal I'd been working for him. I resented the Sandame and the Kyuubi brat, so I thought kidnapping Konohamaru would be revenge. And you plan to, what, escape with the honorable grandson? Maybe send pieces of him back to the Sandame before you killed the kid? Yes, Mizuki said, almost pleading to be believed. It worked. Dragon patted the man on the shoulder. Good news, Onion, I believe you. I won't be pulling your stomach lining out through your mouth. But there is some bad news, too. The other agent appeared next to Dragon. This is Captain Monkey. That means nothing to you, it shouldn't. However, if you could remove your mask, Captain, we're all friends here. Mizuki really started to squirm when he saw the captain's face. Yes, you tried to kidnap Kana Sarutobi's son and well, Onion, you went after my family. What's the penalty for that, Captain? Onion gets diced, she replied neutrally. And there is no one better for the job. Well, my part in this is over. Take as much time as you need, Captain, the room is yours. Thank you, Commander, she said as she removed 2 karambits from her back mounts. As Dragon departed, he could see the glow of the Keton chakra-infused blades reflected in the window. That took care of one bit of business, now to another. Then the leader of the Special Operations Ninja could get some lunch before he spent his afternoon attempting to calm the old man down with the help of Danzo, Sage Save Him. The hospital staff was kind enough to provide him a temporary office so he could settle all matters before heading back to the ANBU barracks. As he entered the small room, Hound stood at attention. It was good he, at least, remembered that much. It didn't stop Dragon from putting the slightly taller man in a headlock nor punching his crown a few times. Hound, Dragon began, but his son dared to interrupt him. Kakashi, he said. Silly child. He punched his head a few more times to get it working correctly. Hound, the upward inflection letting the erstwhile agent know it was a question. Yes, Commander? A few love taps always worked. When I put Uzumaki Naruto in your custody for the day, were you unclear of my expectations? No, Commander. And do you believe your summons are an adequate replacement for your direct supervision? In some RESP- he received a few more love taps as he was backsliding. No, sir, but Sasuke requires a delicate touch, especially as Naruto reminds him of Itachi. I cannot let him think I favor Naruto or encourage any competition between the two. He's doing better, but he still has some pronounced triggers, sir. Excellent reasoning, Hound, but that's why clones exist. Who wants to expend the chakra for that? Hound asked and received several more love taps. You've lost your way since you've left my den, Hound. Don't you worry, Papa is here for his children. I know you've been working your way back, but I'm going to expedite the process. Every day you are in the village, you will report to me before you train your students or take missions. Am I understood? Yes, sir, Hound said in complete compliance. There was his good doggy. Fantastic, you can leave, Dragon said, releasing the Jounin. As Kakashi reached the door, Dragon stopped him with a final warning: if you arrive late or flake on me, I'll beat you strictly with body shots and then tie you up, maskless. By the ladies' onsen. He saw the normally unflappable man shiver. Good, he thought. The pretty bastard would want to protect his peace by not having his real face revealed. You gotta let us know when you make Chunin, little man. We promised Minato-sama we'd take you out on the town so Kushina-sama would only be mad at us, Iwashi said. Naruto had been sitting with the trio as they arrived with Hataki-sensei. He introduced them as part of his father's guardian platoon. Apparently, it is up to the Hokage if they want an ANBU detail or regular forces. His Aji-san seemed to prefer ANBU, but his dad was different. He had to inform Commander Dragon of what transpired but had returned to the waiting area with the 3. They seemed nice and had stories about his parents that not even Hataki-sensei or Jiraiya knew. They said they were designated his fun uncles. He wondered if there were more around selected to be his unfun uncles, but decided to worry about it should the need arise. I have been promoted, Naruto said. The 3 looked at him with wide eyes. In his experience, that could denote surprise or even disbelief. True, he wasn't in his best. His Aji-san requested he not wear it until after the exams and his departure from his protective detail. I assure you, it is the truth. We believe you, Naruto. It's just, being promoted mid-exams has never happened. We have to celebrate. Genma exclaimed. It's the middle of the day, Kakashi rained on the triads parade as he returned. Besides, there is a Team 7 tradition I have to do with my newly promoted Chunin. I'm sure you understand, the copy ninja said as he ushered Naruto out. Fine, tonight, Kakashi. We promised Minato-sama, Rado yelled. Kakashi waved, dismissively, but knew he'd have to allow the outing. He just didn't want his chibi getting influenced by those dorks just because Minato-sensei was too kind to them. The two left the secure hospital entrance and made their way back to a main street. Hataki-sensei, Naruto called. Kakashi answered. Can I go see Kono-chan before we conduct the Team 7 ritual? He asked. Kakashi mushed his hair a little and I smiled. Of course, we can hurry right over. He performed a shunshin expecting Chibi to keep up, which he did. Upon arrival at their destination, a small, boy-shaped projectile launched at Naruto. He easily absorbed the impact. The boy mumbled something that not even Kakashi's keen hearing could decipher. I can't understand you, Kono-chan. What are you saying? Naruto asked. The Sarutobi breathed in deeply and broke away from his surrogate brother. Kakashi could tell he was forcing himself to meet Naruto's eyes. Ni-chan, are you the QB? That had not been the expected question. Kakashi swiftly concluded that the traitor must have told Konohamaru in a moment of spite or to demoralize the boy, maybe both. He wondered how Naruto would react to having his largest and most poorly kept secret revealed to not only Konohamaru but Haku as well. As not even the normally serene Kunoichi could hide her surprise. This could be a major turning point and Kakashi wondered if Naruto would deny it outright, fearful of rejection. I would seem to lack the requisite tails, Kono-chan, he answered. Ni-chanin. Konohamaru bellowed, which allowed Kakashi to realize Chibi wasn't being overly literal, but teasing his little brother. Kakashi didn't know he knew how to tease someone. Why don't we take this inside, Kakashi suggested, as the balcony of one's apartment isn't the place to discuss S-class secrets. Everyone took a seat, the three youngest on the couch with the bunny taking residence on Konohamaru's lap. Kakashi thought the bunny was way too alert for a pet and wondered if a guard bunny was a thing. He then wondered if he could get Pakken to train the rabbit up a bit. A guard rabbit seemed cool. Okay, I'm assuming Mizuki told you something he shouldn't have. Whether Naruto answers any questions, this is an S-class secret. I know you know what that means, Haku-chan, but for you Konohamaru that means if you talk about this with anyone without Hokage-sama's or Naruto's permission you could be put to death. Now, are you sure you want to continue? He asked but he knew the answer, the boy's head nod was perfunctory. Naruto lifted up his shirt and channeled chakra to reveal Minato-sensei's last work. I am not the Kyuubi, but the yondaime did seal him inside of me when I was a baby. Why do you call your dad yondaime instead of your dad? Until recently, it was supposed to be a secret and I haven't gotten adjusted to it not being one anymore. Anything else? Have you met it? Konohamaru asked. Yes, Naruto answered easily, but that shocked Kakashi. Was he supposed to meet with it? Was that concerning? He knew Chibi was a sealing genius, but you didn't just talk to Bijou, did you? What was he like? Konohamaru kept up as if Naruto had simply met a fellow traveler on the road to life. He had 3 whisker marks like me, Naruto said as he ran 3 fingers across his cheek. Big, sharp canines that stuck out like this, he pantomimed using his index fingers. And 2 fluffy ears. Did you get to pet them? Konohamaru asked and Kakashi was getting worried about the sanity of the Sandaime's grandson. No, Naruto, of course answered, as it was obvious as far as Kakashi was concerned. I asked, but he said maybe some other time. And it was at this time Kakashi realized he'd have to be more worried about the amount of kushina his student had in him. Okay, I think that's enough questions for now. Naruto and I really need to be going. Haku-chan, if you could escort Konohamaru-kun to the Sarutobi compound, I'm sure his grandfather would appreciate it. Of course, she responded, but he could tell she was digesting the latest reveal. Haku-chan, Naruto said to get her attention. Thank you for looking after Kono-chan. She smiled in such a way that would break the hearts of many, because Kakashi suspected that smile would only ever be aimed at one person. Of course I would, you're my friend. Naruto nodded but said no more, mushed Konohamaru's hair, and departed. The pair returned to Training Ground 3, and while Kakashi would report that Naruto had been in contact with the Kyuubi, it wasn't a pressing concern. He pulled out a single bell. Every time one of us got promoted, Minato-sensei would redo the bell test. As Sasuke can't train today, and Sakura is busy elsewhere, it'll just be the two of us. Hold nothing back and come at me with the intent to kill. You have 2 hours to get the bell and keep it. Any questions? He asked. He dodged the incoming kunai meant as Naruto's response. Momentarily distracted, he lost sight of his student. He didn't even mind Chibi didn't wait until he said go. He smiled, believing this was going to be a lot of fun. Sakura-chan, a soft voice called out to the genin. She blushed at having been caught not paying attention. The pinkette was just so nervous to be here, in this office for reasons unknown. She admired the woman's decor, clean and classic compared to the more modern look in most of the village. She was beyond shocked when an advisor to the Hokage requested to meet her. Sorry, Koharu-sama, Sakura apologized. Think nothing of it, dear, Koharu-sama said. The elderly woman's eyes were still sharp and Sakura felt every inch of her was being measured as she sat across from the senior ninja. Whatever she was looking for must have been located as Koharu-sama began to speak again. You must be a very special kunoichi to be on a team with the last Uchiha and the Yandame's only child. Sakura answered, she really didn't know what to say, but she didn't feel special. Koharu-sama laughed. It was slight, controlled, but still felt genuine. You doubt it? I understand. It was not easy to judge myself against Hiruzen, but it taught me early on that there were a lot of ways to be effective and wield power. I would be happy to tutor you how, to show you the effectiveness in soft power, if you're willing to do something for me, Koharu-sama offered. Sakura was so happy that she didn't unthinkingly accept the offer as a part of her was ready to jump at it. What would you have me do? She asked instead. Koharu-sama said nothing at first, instead passing a file folder to her. Sakura inspected the contents, but was confused as they were all pictures of Naruto with various people. All women, her mind corrected. Hinata, Haku, Ino, Tenten were there. The examiner from the second part of the Chunin exams, teammate Sensei, Senju Tsunade-sama, and even the kunoichi from Suna, and some dark-skinned woman from Kumo. Since the time of the Shodai, there has been a legend amongst the elite shinobi of Konoha. A belief that one would arise and give an air of respectability to their lecherous desires. One who could seduce and ensnare kunoichi as easy as a genin uses the replacement jutsu. The long-awaited gentleman has never emerged and a dedicated coterie has worked to ensure he wouldn't. Every shinobi, with the potential to become the prophesied one, has found themselves taken fully by one of the brightest, strongest kunoichi. You want me to date Naruto? Sakura stuttered, which earned another bout of laughter. No, dear girl. We never set them up, we just made sure their paths crossed, but I know of your affection for Sasuke. No, dear, this is where soft power comes into play. Because of how Naruto was reared and his development issues, we assumed he would ultimately not be an issue. We were wrong, and because he did not have a lot of direct guidance, he is more open to heterodox lifestyles. But, it wouldn't do for the son of the Yandame to be known as a lecher or frivolous playboy. What I'm requesting is you play more of an older sister role to help direct him to the right path. Sakura mulled over Koharu-sama's request. She didn't know if she could do it as she wasn't exactly close with Naruto, even as her esteem for him had skyrocketed after the Forest of Death. Wouldn't he see her as a nuisance? And, possibly more importantly, wouldn't Hinata kill her if she interfered? That thought led Sakura to another thought and question, what about the kunoichi you put in his path? Was it not Hinata? Koharu-sama shook her head and appeared to sadden for a moment. Hinata-chan was much too meek for her to play such a position, and while she's gained a great deal of confidence over the years, she credits it to Naruto-kun's influence. She's already under his sway. Her and that Yuki girl. If your friend, Ino, isn't careful, she'll be next. As for who I had slated for that position, it was an older girl. She was his guard for a short time, but she's no longer an option, to my great disappointment. So, will you help me, Sakura-chan? Yes, I will. Hours later, Temari was found resting comfortably in her bed. She'd trained hard all day and enjoyed a post-dinner shower. She was asleep shortly after her head hit the pillow. Her dreamless sleep was interrupted though, and Temari wondered if she'd gotten too comfortable in this village filled with enemies. The feeling of a kunai grazing her stomach and the pupilless eyes of one of the proctors screamed that she'd indeed gotten too comfortable. Finally, Cookie, the woman said. I was wondering if I'd actually have to stab you to get you to wake up, she concluded. Temari went rigid, an amateurish mistake, but she couldn't understand how this woman got past Baki-sensei, Kankuro, and Gaara. Gaara didn't sleep and was always at the ready for assassins. How, Temari voiced, but the tip of the kunai being pressed into her with just enough force to not draw blood stopped her. Cookie, I get into and out of places I shouldn't be on a daily basis, but I have no interest in discussing my infiltration techniques. We have a more pressing matter. See, ol Anko don't care about much and even less about most people. My gaki, though, is a different matter. So, when I see a foreign kunoichi, one prepared to attack Konoha, I wonder why she's making time with my gaki. Could it be genuine? Maybe? Did she know who he really was and wanted to claim the Yandame's son either as a kill or to seduce and compromise him? Those thoughts, I shouldn't have to tell you, filled me with the most sincere desire to commit acts of grievous bodily harm. I have to say, I'm hard-pressed to think of a reason not to disappear you just to be safe. Temari put together who this woman's gaki was and kicked herself for not realizing Naruto would of course have murderous psychos dedicated to his protection. Konoha was lousy with them. She needed to say something to placate her. Always quick-witted, Temari went for the first idea she had. If you kill me, Konoha and Suna will be at war. I thought about that and war is bad, blah, blah, blah. But I'm inclined to think my gaki is worth it. What else you got, Cookie? We're just friends. Temari spat. What else was there to say if this woman didn't give a damn about sparking a war? And is that all you want? To be his pal? Temari paused and broke eye contact, a mistake by the feel of the kunai breaking her skin. It was a familiar and unwelcome sting. I don't know, she said. How are we going to have a fruitful relationship if you're lying to me, Cookie? I'm asking you, what do you want from Uzumaki Naruto? I like him, okay? He's sweet, nice, and attentive, Temari blurted out. I think that's about as good as we're going to get, Anko-chan, a new voice said. A voice attached to a person Temari had no idea was also in her room. Ah, Nai-chan, that doesn't really say what we should do with her. I vote unmarked grave. You always vote unmarked grave, the Nai-chan woman said. It's always the right answer, the psycho before her said with a pout. How do you feel about shallow graves, Cookie? I'd rather not end up in one, Temari responded. It made the two women cackle. Well, no one who wound up in a shallow grave wanted to be there. You should try to be more helpful in the future. You know, assuming you have one. Now, Nai-chan, does that mean you're against my idea? Yes, I am. It's 1-1, Anko pointed out. We need a tiebreaker. What do you think, Tsunade-sama? Temari paled and became as white as a sheet. She may not have known these other women, but she knew of the Sannin. The queen of potions and elixirs and the strongest kunoichi in existence. She was possessed by a fear greater than any she'd ever felt. Not even Gaara at his most psychotic scared her like Tsunade did. I say we take a wait-and-see approach. But if she ever causes harm to my student, I'll hit her so hard every internal organ inside of her will liquefy. Now, that sounds like something I'd want to see. Well, it looks like you get a pass for now, Cookie. You sleep well, okay? Anko said. The three left soundlessly, though Temari was too in her head about what just transpired. So many questions, but the most vexing was, why was she slightly turned on? Naruto, drunkenly, made his way to his last destination of the night. He rather liked his dad's guards. They were jovial, which was nice to be around, and Genma was really good with Senbon, much better than the Uzumaki, which explained his state. Every time he lost at Senbon darts, Naruto had to drink a special concoction inspired by his mother's heightened tolerance. No one but the barkeep knew what was in the habanero death shot, but it was potent enough to get a Jinchuriki drunk. At some point, Anko-chan arrived with Tsunade and Yuhi-sensei. The two younger kunoichi congratulated him on his promotion. Yuhi-sensei even gave him a kiss on the cheek. He looked forward to taking her from Asuma-san. The night was quite enjoyable, and even Hataki-sensei seemed to enjoy himself, but Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that something had been missing. Not just tonight, but for a while. He stepped out of the bar to get some air, but soon found himself a place he'd been often. I want to see Hinata-chan, Databeo, he exclaimed with an unusual amount of vigor. The guard snickered, but he didn't care. One entered the clan compound, but upon his return, he saw someone who decided wasn't Hinata. For the second time today, he felt the need to hurt someone. He started to roll up his sleeves, but Hyuga Hayashi-san's grip on his shoulders stopped him. That won't be necessary, Uzumaki-san, Hinata's dad assured him. The Uzumaki wasn't so sure, but relented anyway. It is quite late, what is so important that you call upon my daughter at this hour? I want to see her, Databeo, he said with a tinge of confusion. Hadn't he been clear with why he's here? I understand, the larger man said with a laugh. I'm asking why you want to see her. Naruto looked at the man that refused to talk sense. Because I do. He wondered if his consumption of alcohol made everyone else a little less intelligent. He heard Hyuga Hayashi-san sigh. Uzumaki-san, can I request a favor from you as Hinata's father? Naruto nodded once. I would like you to forego seeing my daughter until after the Chunin exam finals. She's made great strides over the years due to her efforts and the support she's received from you, but I don't want you to be a crutch or for her to doubt she couldn't succeed without you. I'm asking you to endure this separation, so I'll know my daughter is ready to become a Chunin. Naruto nodded again. The man was finally making sense, at least a little. He should just agree, but for some inexplicable reason he didn't want to. Not seeing his best friend for 2 more weeks didn't strike him as tolerable, which confused him. But she often did. I'll do it, but I don't want to, Tabeo, he finally answered. Good man, Hayashi said as he patted the newly minted Chunin on the shoulders. I guess that's our cue to be off, any, Naruto-kun? Hataki-sensei said from behind him. He didn't know how everyone else was so confident about this, but he followed his sensei anyway, but vowed to make sure his best friend was never beyond his reach again. The anticipation was palpable as the stadium filled, ninja and non-ninja alike eager to see the day's event. As the people trickled in, finding their seats, not all were there to simply enjoy an exhibition of the village's youngest generation. Raza, the Yondaime Kazekage, would be such an individual. His month had been, frankly, shit. The panicked note from Baki informing him their plans had been uncovered and a genin. Raza often had to take a breath when he recalled that a genin in the exams managed to capture Orochimaru, a man the Kage didn't think he could best in a solo fight. His children were hostages, each broken by the same boy. Uzumaki Naruto. Son of the Yondaime Hokage. Apparently an undercover prodigy, as none of his intelligence agents had anything about the genin before I posted that joke of a bingo book entry. His best chance to salvage his village had been spoiled by a mere child. He considered scrambling his sand agents and launching a desperation hit on the boy. He figured they had a 3 in 10 chance of making it to the village. 2 in 10 chance of managing to kill the boy if they did. He also knew the monkey god would point his 2 students, Kakashi and every A-level killer that village of lunatics housed towards Suna, assuming Hiruzen didn't lead the march himself. It would be a siege, a drawn-out affair, and the winner determined by who wanted the other one dead the most. But that wasn't what stopped Raza. Because he'd probably survive such an engagement, but his children would not. And reputation aside, he didn't have to be overly imaginative to think none of his children would go fast nor easy. It was a coin flip between who would get it the worst, Temari or Gaara, but Kankuro would be thoroughly tortured for the secrets of their puppetry. He was a Kage first, that was his responsibility, but there were limits. He'd face the entirety of Konoha by himself before he allowed his children to die for his mistake, and if they were to die, he'd go first, doing all he could to free them. So, he obeyed Hiruzen's rules. He only brought the honored siblings with him. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and a squad of ANBU greeted them at the border. No hard words were exchanged, and all behaved professionally, but the 2 Sannin being there was the loudest, clearest death threat Raza had ever received. The travel was uneventful, but upon arrival, he hadn't been allowed to see his children nor speak to Baki. He wouldn't know how well they were until their fights potentially rigged to kill them in front of him. The cushioned seat he occupied, one situated beside where he Hokage would soon be, was uncomfortable. He felt like a caged animal with the addition of a month of frayed nerves. His discipline was slipping, and where it ended instinct picked up. Right now, his was not of a leader nor a shinobi, but a father. A father that wanted nothing more than to get his children to safety, no matter what it'd cost him in the end. In a secured location within the stadium, Hiruzen awaited the final security checks by his ANBU. The Hokage decided to only have 2 ANBU guards. If Raza had something planned, he wanted Tsunade and Jiraiya free to move about the village. Danzo was with him. The man appeared to have something to say. You know you can't kill him, right? Hiruzen briefly wondered when he became surrounded by nannies and minders instead of the ninja he commanded. He knew what Danzo meant, it would be an opportune to kill Raza. The long and short play said to keep the man alive. He understood that, but a point of fact was he literally could kill Raza. The honorable siblings and anyone else he damned please in his village because it was his village and outside his 2 students not a damn person could challenge him. Guy could give it a go, but he'd waste that poor boy before he ever got to the required gates to be a threat. So, yes, he could kill Raza. You're being petulant, Hiruzen. I haven't said anything, the August Hokage responded. You were thinking very loudly, however, if it'll make you feel better, yes you're perfectly capable of killing Raza. I'd look cool doing it, too, Hiruzen added. Danzo's shoulder slumping was the sweetest of victories. You're my penance, Danzo said. Hiruzen scoffed. If I give you even half the headaches in our golden years that you gave me in our prime, you should consider yourself lucky. If I weren't too tired to hate, I'd hate you with the entirety of my being, his former rival confessed. Come watch the future protectors of our village, it'll be invigorating, Hiruzen responded. The crowds had drifted toward their seats, the excitement of seeing the future of the village, creating a palpable tension. The Hokage had spoken, an implicit opening of the ceremonies as the final contestants had been paraded about. All that was left were the fights. He wasn't the best at ceremony, too excitable, too earnest. He had no talent in ninjutsu or genjutsu, but Rock Lee could fight. Standing across from his opponent, he could see no trace of tension in her body as she adopted a loose stance, and he hopped on his toes before settling in. The sickly proctor called a start and Lee, leg weights not worn at the behest of his sensei, blitzed the Hyuga heiress. His sweep was evaded and he briefly felt her body on his as she rolled off his back. His body moved before conscious thought could dictate, saving the energetic boy from a swift kick aimed at his head. The dodge provided enough time for him to properly defend against her barrage of attacks. Confident he'd seen enough of the gentle fist from Niji, Lee began exchanging blows. He hadn't expected an oblique kick hard enough to nearly buckle his knee. The stunning blow opened his stance and Lee was punished with 3 quick palm thrusts that knocked him back a good 20 feet. He rolled a little further away to give him more space. Those blows hurt. She didn't fight like Niji, his speed wasn't overwhelming her like he thought it would, and he clearly had more to worry about than her grappling skills. Abandoning his initial thoughts on Hinata's skill set, Lee was hastily forming a new plan. Hayashi watched on as his eldest did battle with the Might Guy clone. His nephew may have hated him to his core, but he still kept tabs on him and his team, so he knew Rock Lee was formidable for a genin. As such, that Hinata was getting the better of their exchanges impressed him all the more. He'd give credit where it was due, her opponent was deftly avoiding going to the ground with her, utilizing some clever escapes and his superior strength. However, even as he managed to avoid them, he'd be punished with various pokes and palm thrusts as he broke free, and it was starting to take their toll. The crowd thundered in appreciation of the taijutsu match, and the proud father in him wanted to preen as they were cheering for his little girl. She deserved it. When she first told him she wouldn't follow the traditional ways of the clan, he accepted it. Not because he believed in her, to his everlasting shame. But as she developed her own style and became more confident, he knew her problem hadn't been a lack of talent. Roses don't grow in frozen wastelands, fish can't climb trees. It was his teachings that failed her, not the other way around. Now, he looked on in pride he wasn't entitled to as she had her competitor beaten and breathing. Would this be enough for her to earn a promotion? Possibly. The decision was as rooted in the candidate's abilities as it was the village's needs. Maybe in this time of peace, where she'd still be with her Jounin sensei, Hinata was ready. He wouldn't begrudge her an extra year or so at genin if she wasn't. Ugh, a feminine voice exclaimed, instantly putting an end to Hayashi's internal deliberations. His eyes, activated from the beginning, telling him all he needed. Guy's student went for a sweep and as Hinata jumped over the boy opened the first gate. She couldn't respond to the sudden burst of speed nor the kick that followed. One powerful enough to crack 3 of her ribs. She tried to defend, but he was able to land 2 swift body blows, and Hayashi could see the pain in her. No longer concerned about her victory, he just wanted his little girl to be okay. Niji didn't outwardly respond to his cousin's show of discomfort. It would be unbecoming of a Hyuga, and with Tenten next to him, somehow having become friends with the pampered princess, he'd only stoke her ire. That didn't mean he couldn't enjoy it silently. It was divine punishment. Both of these inferiors going further into the tournament than him made the bile arise in him, the acidic taste lingering on his tongue. He didn't care who won, neither of the fighters were worthy of being chunin nor of the praise and attention of the onlookers. Do you think she can still fight? Tenten asked him. He could. He had the will, determination and all-out genius to power through such injury, assuming he'd be so sloppy as to receive it, that was. I doubt it, was Niji's reply. He really didn't see how she could fend off Lee with her core imperiled, and yet she adopted the most basic of gentle fist stances. It was weak and full of holes, a clear sign she had nothing left. Niji concluded Lee must have agreed as he once again rushed her. Niji assumed it would be Lee attacking relentlessly and Hinata evading or deflecting in a desperate attempt to drag this farce on. He was wrong. And beyond being wrong, he saw something new. It was like an incomplete Kaiten. But not. No, focused, generated by one hand, and she moved Lee off his centerline, unbalancing his body. He couldn't avoid the upward palm thrust to his chin that landed square. Lee flung a front kick, to cause damage or generate space Niji couldn't tell. With practiced ease Hinata transferred his momentum upward. Lee was off his feet and being flipped. He rotated a full 360 degrees, clearly not in control. Once he'd come back around, upright but still in the air, Hinata stopped his momentum by grabbing his face and slamming him in the opposite direction of his spin. Lee hit the ground with a thud, the protector was on the combats, before Hinata could attack again. It wasn't necessary, Lee was unconscious. Hinata had won. Naruto-kun? Hinata questioned when she arrived at the medical bay. The surprise momentarily numbed the shooting pain of her injured ribs, a pain that came right back and forced a groan from her. One of the medical ninja had her on an exam table an instant later, but it seemed she was going to be tended to by her Naruto-kun. Hi, Hinata-chan. Take this, he instructed her. The Hyuga heiress wanted to smile at his professionalism. She took the pills and the flimsy cup downing one and then the other. The cream-colored drink tasted of vanilla. She soon felt a soothing wave of healing chakra enter her body. The next fight could be seen on the monitors, but she was more focused on the Uzumaki she hadn't seen in weeks, silently blaming Kakashi for most of it. And her father for his harebrained scheme. What did I take, Naruto-kun? Pain pills and a high concentration of calcium. More than you'd normally want in your body, but it being there aids in mending your ribs. So, will I be able to fight again? The more time I have the better I can repair the damage, but you could be medically cleared. You'd have a greater risk of re-injury. The news wasn't ideal, but she wouldn't complain. Silently, she let Naruto focus, and she watched the Sunakunoichi versus the Kumo ninja. The ninja couldn't close the distance between him and the Kunoichi, and she soon made him forfeit. It was an unfortunate clash of styles for him. Next would be Sasuke versus the Suna ninja. Or it should have been. His face buried in an orange book, the Sunanin forfeited from the stands, which meant her next match was up. Am I cleared? She asked. Naruto nodded. Just barely, he responded. It wasn't ideal, but she wasn't sure she'd done enough to earn promotion with her first match, so to decline this next round might sink her candidacy. Decision made, she had one thing to do before she returned to the arena floor. Sliding off the table she hugged her dear friend. I missed you, she whispered. There was so much she wanted to say, nothing of grand importance, she just wanted to talk to her friend like she used to. We saw each other yesterday, Naruto said while returning the hug. She giggled. It was technically true, they had seen each other, but they'd also been in separate locations entirely. It was not the same. Let's meet up later, okay? Okay, he affirmed. She hurried back, not wanting to be disqualified. Temari stood alone, surrounded by people she was once meant to attack, taking stock of her current predicament. She was assured a promotion. The only reason she wasn't a chunin now was for the sake of the invasion. If her entree into a superior rank wasn't an issue, then why fight again? Well, with Gaara having lost his mind and Kankuro eliminated, it fell to her to make a good showing for her village. It was a reason so good, she was almost sure it wasn't a justification for her real motive. Slapping down, Hinata-chan, would just be an added bonus. She was, apparently, the linchpin. Naruto was quite open about his best friend, though he never shared any information that would put her at risk. Temari couldn't tell if that was intentional or not, but it was vexing as all get out. No, she wouldn't do this just to shame the Hyuga or to prove decisively she was the superior choice. It just so happens she can be of great use to her village and shame the younger girl, who, giving her choice of attire, was better developed than Temari. This village was really easy to hate. Ample resources, comfortable climate, great economy, and droves of perfect, angelic pretty bitches with no will and no sense. Not that some boy was her goal. She was a loyal Sunakunoichi. As proud as she was strong. But given her father's poor decisions, it is very likely Konoha would demand recompense. A boon, possibly several, and assurances Suna wouldn't betray them again. A political marriage between the son of the 4th Hokage and the daughter of the 4th Kazekage might do the trick. She wouldn't like it. But she'd fulfill her duty. Schooling her features at the audience cheering the return of the Hyuga princess, Temari evened out her breath and relaxed her muscles. The game plan was simple: keep her at a distance and overwhelm with wind jutsu, and don't let up until the match is called. Hajime, the frail man called. Temari kicked off the ground, creating distance between the taijutsu specialist and her. Once confident she had the desired distance, Temari swung open her fan and instantly felt one of her shoulders go numb with pain radiating outward. Blood was starting to show on her jacket, but she didn't understand what happened. Looking back toward the Hyuga, she swiftly ducked as 2 projectiles were aimed at her head. Sanbon, she wondered, but didn't hear the telltale sign of metal hitting the ground. Grunting, she slapped her shoulder to get some feeling back. One-handed swings were slower and less powerful. She couldn't afford either. Get distance on a Hyuga, how original, she heard the girl say, with a thick layer of condescension in her voice. Having regained some feeling, Temari went to swing her fan, but found herself pierced again, this time in the thigh. She dropped her fan and used it as cover once more. This situation wasn't ideal, but before she was hit, Temari saw it. Drops of water beneath the Hyuga, somehow she was molding water as projectiles. Thin, fast, and precise. Temari, however, was guessing they were also frail. Plan in mind, she emerged from behind her fan, hand seals in motion while the Hyuga was gaining on her. Temari inhaled and performed the great breakthrough as she had 100 times before. The Sunakunoichi thought herself prepared for anything as she began her return to her fan. She had not expected the Hyuga to respond with a fireball, one powerful enough to overwhelm her wind jutsu. Seeing the upcoming blaze, Temari unleashed an even more powerful gust of wind that extinguished the flames. She was given no time to savor her minor victory as she felt several finger pokes to her back. Her body reacting without her permission, Temari felt a forearm pressed against her throat, a vice-like squeeze following it as she pulled to the ground. "This is for 10-10, were the last words she heard before she blacked out. As the fight ended, Kakashi was gripped by a sense of trepidation. He didn't know why, he couldn't point to a single shred of proof, but he just knew his most emotional student was about to do something foolish. It would likely surprise people that he thought Sasuke was the more emotional of his charges, but it would only show they didn't know his students. The first domino fell when Hinata declined the last fight. It made sense, whatever injury she suffered against Lee likely hadn't healed completely, and while she gambled against a long-range fighter, her not risking it against Sasuke was wise. That decision alone likely cemented her promotion, along with whatever technique she pulled off against Lee that had Guy in a state of shock. There was more there to investigate, but the honey badger was getting dangerous. Hinata pulling out should have been the end of it. Sasuke would be disappointed, but with his performance in the other 2 exams and the prelims, his promotion wasn't completely sunk. So why was Sasuke still speaking with Hayate? Why did Hayate send a message to the Hokage? Why did the Hokage nod? And why did Hayate just leave? Damn it, Sasuke, Kakashi groaned, the other Jounin sensei and Anko all looking at him. What do you think he's done, Kakashi? Guy asked. Just wait, Kakashi warned. Back in the medical bay, Naruto was keeping Lee company, the older boy having finished the concussion protocols. Naruto wondered if Lee was what people meant when they said someone was good-natured, as while he lost to Hinata he still cheered her against Temari. He rather liked Lee before, but that rose the boy in his estimation. Lee, are we friends? If we aren't, I'd certainly like to be, Lee answered without hesitation. I'd like that, too. Yash. If I didn't have one, you'd make a most excellent rival, Naruto-kun. Thank you, Lee. Lee's blinding smile almost distracted Naruto from the new arrival, though his cough gave him away. The Uzumaki hadn't gotten to spend a lot of time with Gecko-san, a few dinners with him and Yugane and a few kenjutsu lessons, but he thought the man was affable. "Hey, Naruto, you up for a match?" Naruto looked at him confused for a moment before the fullness of the request dawned on him. "Against Sasuke-san?" "Yes." Hokage-sama approved, but said it's entirely up to you, though there was an additional caveat from Sasuke, should you agree. "What's that?" "He said he wants the Uzumaki Naruto that faced Orochimaru." The crowd had quieted down, not even Kakashi had explained what he meant. He palmed his face when he saw Hiate's companion, he was right. Dressed in a black flak vest, instead of his Chunin green one, sticks, tanto, and chained weapon strapped to his back and the fingerless gloves Kakashi gifted him for his promotion. Sasuke submitted the challenge and Naruto accepted. The stadium was going crazy. The last Uchiha versus the son of the Yondaime, the boy that stalemated a Sannin? He could feel the spectators thirsting for an epic match. Kakashi found no joy in it. As much as he missed Naruto when he was assigned to Jiraiya, it had the positive benefit of cooling Sasuke's competitive streak and denied him easy access to an Itachi stand-in. He thought the boy had finally reached a place where Sasuke could see Naruto and truly become teammates. Instead, he saw someone his age approximating his life's goal, and so he had to know how he measured up. Maybe Sasuke didn't see Itachi anymore when he looked at Naruto. A worse option could have been selected, Sasuke might see himself. A better version just out of reach. This was what he feared, and he hoped the fight wouldn't undo weeks of progress. Sometimes being a genius just sucked. With no way of stopping it, Kakashi simply had to watch his two students duel. Sasuke awoke with a gasp. The sudden exhalation caused him to cough, the unwelcomed movements calling attention to his beaten and battered body. His head hurt, his eyes hurt, and he wasn't sure where he was or how he'd gotten there. Laying down his most recent memory returned. Blue eyes that were not alive with combat or emotion simply looked ahead at the task at hand. A left cross and right hook to the chin caused his vision to swim. A series of rapid punches, felt but not seen, followed thereafter. Fast and strong. Sasuke didn't know which strike knocked him out, but he knew several of them could have. "I hope you're pleased with yourself," a familiar voice asked. "I'd be more pleased if I wasn't the one knocked out and in, I assume, a hospital bed," Sasuke answered. He hoped Kakashi would avoid the lecture or, at the very least, postpone its execution until he felt more himself and less a training dummy. "Tell me, Sasuke, what was achieved with this little stunt?" I needed to know. Know what? What he had and I lacked. Why he could face a Sannin with zero hesitation and survive when I doubt I could do the same. I needed to see how someone my age had eclipsed me entirely and if I could follow that path. And what did you learn? He's stronger than he looks, the Uchiha responded, and while it sounded like a quip, Sasuke was being sincere. And? Kakashi asked, sounding more annoyed than Sasuke had ever heard him. Walk me through your strategy. When did you sense it wasn't working and how did you adjust? I didn't have one. Winning wasn't the point. Oh? Kakashi asked in mock surprise. You look to be trying your hardest to do that. It wasn't the only point, Sasuke amended in annoyance. I really thought the wire trap would work, though, he added. When he had the Uzumaki trapped in the wires, courtesy of them being attached to shuriken, he was confident a lightning jutsu would end things. Didn't expect him to cut through the ninja wire with ease. Wind users are annoying like that, Kakashi rejoined. His tone suggested there was a story behind the statement, a specific memory being accessed. Good to know. And with wind being his affinity, I assumed my ninjutsu would give me the advantage. Even when Naruto created the earth wall to intercept his grand fireball. It blowing up into dust left him confident he still had the edge in ninjutsu. When an off-target shuriken came sailing by, he ignored it and was unprepared for it to revert to a clone of Naruto. The leaping roundhouse he absorbed was the beginning of the end. Beset by clones from every direction, he was picked apart until the original decided to end things. I could be on his level if I were challenged the same as he, Sasuke concluded. Or you'd be dead. Naruto would be if that was Orochimaru's goal. That didn't stop him. I saw it with my own eyes, he didn't expect to survive. And what a loss that would have been. In Konoha, we protect the future so they in exchange can protect the future still. I guarantee if it were a choice between the Anko, the kunoichi he saved, and Naruto, she would have sacrificed herself. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone, your growth is yours, and not dependent on anyone else. I have a monster to slay, Kakashi. The sooner the better, and I'm nowhere close. He wasn't going all out, I could tell. Sasuke grunted when something landed on him. He opened his eyes to see a Chunin vest. Hokage-sama believes you're ready to wear that and bear all that comes with it. After today, I'm decidedly unsure. We've all got monsters to slay, Sasuke, the trick is remaining human while doing so. Man, Hinata really kicked ass. Though, nothing gave me more pleasure than seeing Sasuke pounded on, Kiba explained to the group. Shino and he were joined with Team Guy and Ten being escorted by Haku to Naruto's apartment. The Inuzuka wanted to celebrate and Naruto had access to a courtyard, no parental supervision, and Hinata was likely already there. Win, win, win. Indubitably, Shino started. Hinata's performance justified the multiple times she defeated you while training. You didn't have to say all that, Shino, Kiba said as his posture drooped and shoulders hung. Relax, dogboy, we all know Hinata beat you down. It isn't some big secret, Ino teased. Hey, he exclaimed. Maybe she does, no shame in that. And Shino can tease, because we're teammates and that makes them pack, but I won't be roasted by a recovering fangirl. Oh, and what are you gonna do about it? You couldn't even beat Sakura. Because she had those fancy shuriken I'd never seen before and they weren't even hers, so really, I stalemated with Naruto. Something Sasuke couldn't manage to do, he reasoned and earned a giggle from the older girl in front. That is some creative argumentation, Kiba-san, Haku said. Thanks. He gently slowed down and gave Ino a signal to do the same. Hey, he whispered, what's her situation, he asked the Yamanaka. Her situation, she repeated in confusion. Yes, her situation, he emphasized. Oh. Don't even bother. She's out of your league. Dogs gotta hunt, Ino. Then you're barking up the wrong tree. Oh, does she prefer the company of ladies to gentlemen? Ino laughed, not to my knowledge, but you're neither, mutt. Look, I'm certain she's into someone else, so spare yourself some pain. Kiba readjusted the paper bag in his hands as he said, well, what does this person have that I don't? Independent wealth, brilliance, taste and style, strength and an impeccable pedigree. Each word felt like a sledgehammer using his skull for an anvil. My mom is the leader of one of Konoha's premier clans. That's not nothing. True, and we're essentially of equal stature as that goes, so that should tell you something. Is it Sasuke? Kiba asked. Why would you think that? Ino asked in genuine surprise. Given everything you said, I mean, who else could it be? Naruto, you knob. You know, son of the fourth Hokage. But he has the personality of a brick, Kiba said and was promptly rounded on. Because this is me, you said that to and not Hinata, you'll only get a warning and not a fist to the nose. Naruto has a personality and it is perfectly wonderful. He is kind and open and supportive. He can even be funny in the right context. Don't ever say that about him again or I'll deck you, got it? Sure, sure. Geez, you like him now, too? No, Sasuke is still the boy for me, but Naruto is a really good friend. Now, let's catch up. The dog meme user modded, Akamaru barking in agreement and the two sped up with the gang. Haku led them up the stairs, unlocking the door to Naruto's apartment, unknowingly providing an audience for Hinata and his first kiss. This was all for now. Hope you liked it. Please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more great stories. See ya.